No.
Oh.
We're live
Good
now.
morning. Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening.
We were having an argument about the time. I said there was a minute or less to go, and Warren reckoned there was 2 minutes, and I think I may be right.
Yeah, no. As I said that, it changed to
You
1 minute.
yeah. It's always
This
the
is
way
on my phone.
Yeah.
This is on my phone, though, so it must. So there's there's a minute discrepancy somewhere.
Anyway,
between the time. Maybe England's. I don't know. Maybe England's 1 hour, 1 minute ahead of us.
No,
1 hour, 1 minute.
No, trust me.
Behind.
We control the time. You're probably right though. Okay. Yeah. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the Health Angle, which is part of healthierlife.tv. So
it is indeed.
I was going to read off basically the Health Angle guides, educates, supports, and teaches wellness and fitness, obviously health as well, but awareness from a sporting perspective. So, in other words, it's healthylife.tv, but we do things from a sports perspective. So, it makes it interesting because it gives us so many different avenues that we can go down. And today's headline is Core Strengthening, which I don't know very much about, I have to be honest. Core Strengthening exercises for beginners. Now, I could put anything, but I thought beginners because most of us, I'm sure, don't know a great deal about the core of the body. So first of all, what is the core of the body?
It's the engine room of the body.
Okay.
It's the engine room basically. I mean, it's the way I always look at the core area. It's like a steam train. It's that, I think I've used that analogy before with you, when we were talking about food in the past. It's the coal room on the steam train. And if that coal room is sound and the structure is sound, and there's no leaking in its efficiency, then the steam train is going to not only perform better, but it's going to be able to perform for longer. And this is the way I look at the core area. It's that. So it's not just how you're feeding it, but it's also the soundness of it. How solid is that structure? And if that structure is solid, then the body is able to move more efficiently, more actively, intensely, whatever your goal is in terms of movement. But if that core is not, then you're going to have problems.
Well, the first bit you were describing me, weren't you? Really? I mean,
if you say so.
Charles Atlas. Right. Yeah, we all know Charles Atlas, don't we? Anyone doesn't know him? I mean, I remember being a kid in the 60s, and Charles Atlas, obviously been American, I believe, but
yes.
He was on everything. So it was always him doing this with his big muscles, and So anyway, but what is not the core?
What is not the core?
Just so that we make, because some people have never come across it, and I never even thought about it before. But what doesn't it include?
Well, the core is not. It doesn't include really your abdominal region. So your abdominal muscles. It's your outer lying abdominal muscles, but your deeper lying transverse muscles, your intercostal type muscles. Those are the smaller little muscles that lie in between everything else. They lie deeper within that core area. That's your core. But your normal abdominal muscles that you see on the outside, either the barrel, depending on your diet, or the six-pack, depending on your diet. And this is the irony of it. I mean, it's like we call it a six-pack, but most of us, in our generation especially, we think of six-pack, we think of beers. But
no. Well, it depends what time of day it is, of course. I mean, I just call mine Budweiser. I mean, it's it's easier.
Don't tell me you drink Budweiser, please.
No,
you drink Budweiser.
Look, I just picked a name.
Okay, good. Whew.
Picked a name.
Thank you.
No.
And that and Stella, that Heineken, in my opinion, I know this is diversing a little bit.
Stella. Who's it?
Stella Artois is
Stella Artoris.
Taurus.
No, I can't. It seems to ring a bell. I think it wasn't only for horses. I'm not sure. Anyway,
Okay,
but
probably. But
yeah,
Stella Artois, when I
would be
lived
more
in
me.
England,
That would be
when I
more
lived in
me.
England, that was known as
Yeah.
the wife beater, right?
Yeah. I've got a van. I'm thinking of painting it yellow and having Trotters Independent Traders on it. But that's another story. If you're thinking about a part of the body, or if you're talking about an express train, I'd be more the caboose. I'll let you work that one out. But anyway, down to some more serious notes. So I did make some. Any questions? Because I don't know too much about the core. So we know what the core is. So that would that take the pecs in?
No, it's not. Okay. It's the region basically below the chest, below your solar plexus, and above the hips. That's the core region. But the core muscles are the deeper muscles that work. So, for example, the muscles that run up the spine, your transverse abdominis muscles, your I can't think of the name, but the muscles that run up the spine, okay, and the muscles that run along the bottom, the top end of the hips that connect the hips to the core trunk, or the trunk area. The trunk, that's the core area. And then those deeper muscles that protect everything and that actually work, they function in terms of rotation, flexion, and all of that. Okay, those are the muscles that you're typically thinking of when you say core. But most people when they say core, they're thinking trunk. The trunk being that area between the solar plexus and the hips. That is your trunk area, okay, like a tree. Mm-hmm. But so most people will generalize it as all those muscles in that area is your core, but it's not. Essentially, it's not really. That's the deep engine in the ship. Those are the engines right at the bottom that really keep that ship chugging along and that. So yeah.
Okay, so yes, why is it so important to work on the core?
Okay, let me put it back to the ball back in your court. As somebody who is fairly parfait with fitness and health and exercise and stuff like that, and somebody who does actively keep active and does it more than a pastime, as a referee. What do you think is the reason for it, the importance of it?
Well, I think for me, from a purely amateurish viewpoint, I would say that it probably makes you a better all-round athlete.
Okay.
It probably takes care of weaknesses that you maybe don't know that you've got, that may show out at different times when you don't expect it to. Would that be a fair assessment? Yeah,
that's a very good assessment. That's a pretty.
That's not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all. Really, especially for laymen. From a layman perspective, it's great, because the way I tell people that the core, the reason why it's important to have a strong core is like, I just use examples of my own history and people that I've worked with, where it minimalizes the risk of you reaching out into the trunk to pick out the groceries and doing your back in. It minimalizes the risk of when you climb out of bed in the morning, you pull your back or your shoulder. It minimalizes the risk of when you are doing some activity of having a slip disc, or your hips kind of taking all the strain and all the pressure, because there's no muscle tension, there's not enough muscle strength in that area. So when there is, it minimalizes all that risk. As an athlete, it helps to improve your performance, definitely, because it helps to improve your stability, your ability to keep stabilized, coordination, and your engine room, as I touched on in the beginning, is improved. So your ability to just keep going all the time.
Yeah. Oh, frozen. I quite like you like that, actually. Frozen. No, so great. Yeah. So we come back on.
Okay, I don't know where I cut out.
You froze. He froze, and I actually quite. I said I actually like it like that. Right. Okay. So we've worked out it's important for overall fitness, and but how do you start? What have we got? What has someone got to look at? Give me an idea of maybe a few of the exercises, some of the best exercises.
Exercises. Look, don't do sit-ups, for example. I'll say I want to start off with don't do sit-ups. People do sit-ups like it's religious, like it's written in stone that you have to do sit-ups in order to strengthen your stomach and your core. Don't do sit-ups, please. Not even kids should be doing sit-ups. You can do crunches with your feet on the floor, crunches with legs, straight legs, crunches with your feet raised off the floor, crunches with your feet totally elevated. You can do, I wouldn't say do planks per se, as in if you know what planks are, like in the push-up position, and you just hold that position, or you go down on your elbows and you hold that position. But if you're going to do a type of plank, then do some form of movement with that plank, whether that means bringing your knees to your elbows or shifting backwards and forwards, or both. But do some kind of movement when you're doing a plank position.
Well, something a bit more dynamic rather than static. Bit more, bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more dynamic, but less. Yeah, because those muscles are not designed for static contraction. They're really not. There's so many better exercises that you can be doing to activate those muscles in the first place. Some people say, but because a plank is good to wake those muscles up. Yeah, it's good, but there's a lot more effective exercises and movements that you can be doing to stimulate those muscles, to wake those muscles up. Another one might be knee raises. Knee raises are pretty good. If you're in a suspended position and you've got your legs dangling, you can raise one knee at a time. For somebody who's really unfit, if they just hold their arms up and against a surface, maybe like a bar or a door frame or something like that, and apply some type of pressure, then they can just raise one knee up at a time. Okay. That's going to activate your core muscles. That's definitely going to activate your core muscles, especially for somebody that's overweight or really unfit, or maybe they have back problems. But look, I can go with a range of exercises here right now. But the point of the matter is that I'm not showing anybody any exercises, number one.
No.
Number two, who knows who's watching this and what their level of ability is. So, there are exercises out there that I haven't mentioned that are also exceptionally good for working your core, just to start off with.
Yeah.
Okay. And go and find those, like the flying dog, for example. Flying dog is a great exercise to do. You're on your hands and knees.
Dog.
Yeah, flying dog.
You sure it's an exercise? Well,
And it's an exercise. Dog. It's the name of a pub, and it's a craft beer.
It sounds like a position I took when I was drunk, but there you go.
Probably, yeah. So it's you basically on
the floor,
on all fours.
On the floor of the
pub. I hope the pub was closed at the time. You're on your all fours, and you're raising your, like, for example, your left arm and then your right leg, and your right arm and your left leg. So the opposite limbs, and you're raising those simultaneously like that. So you switch like that, and it's a very good exercise for waking up the muscles in that low back and in the core itself. Okay, so and it's safe as well.
It seems to me that, and I'd be interested to know anyone who has had lower back problems, by the way. So if there's anyone on here that had lower back problems, then again, I'll be very interested to talk to you about that. But yes, I mean, so could you do that? Could you build your core fast, or can it be done over time, or how would you do it?
Good question. That's actually something that I found from my own experience, is that it's person relative. It's relative to the individual. Okay, because, for example, like some people they build strength in their muscles very quickly, others don't. and the same applies with your core.
Yeah.
If you struggle to build strength in your legs, and you can't build strength in your legs, and takes you ages to do it, you're going to struggle to build strength in your core, and you're more than likely going to struggle to build strength in your upper body as well. In terms of, because some people, they just look, and I'm not talking about putting on muscle, I'm talking about strength. Some people just look at an exercise and they get stronger.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's
No,
the same
yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, it's for those people that are maybe not in the athletic world. It sounds a bit strange, but it's a lot of everything that you do with sports and things is mindset.
Oh,
It's
yes.
mate, don't get me wrong, you do need to build strength, but what I'm saying is that a lot of it is knowing A, you can do it. I think, yes, I can do that. And B, having training your mind to believe that you can do it, and just having the right attitude, and that alone is a great start.
Well, that alone is, having a great attitude is what 90% of the population don't have when it comes to fitness.
No.
So if you've got a great attitude,
I've been both ends of, even been in sports. I've been at both ends of that. Whatever you call it, I've been at both ends anyway.
that mindset.
Yeah, I've been at both ends of it, and it's easy not to do it.
Of course, yeah. It's easy just to make excuses and not. But I wanted to just not digress, but add to that a little bit in terms from a psychological point of view. When you're talking about mindset as well, and if your mindset is in the right place, it's easier to finish the task and actually get the results quicker. Excuse me. But when you're working your core muscles or your core area, okay, it's a fantastic time, an opportunity for the average individual to learn that connection between the brain and the body. Because the core muscles, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can't you see me?
Okay. Yeah, you are, but you're like so frozen.
No, it's because I'm interested in what you're saying. That's why.
Okay, I appreciate it. I thought maybe the thing had frozen again. So when you're working your core muscles, because those core muscles are so deep within the body, typically, okay, that you need to really focus on what you're doing in the exercise. So this is a great opportunity. And Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say all the time about the connection between the brain and the body and the muscles and and that connection. So every repetition, not only you just feeling what it is, but you visualizing what's going on in that muscle. And this is a fantastic area of the body to train and get attuned to that that power, that tool in your toolbox. Because if you can strengthen your core, the quicker you can strengthen your core, the easier it's going to be for you to do many different exercises and sports and all kinds of stuff like that. And this is one of the tricks, is that connection between the brain and the body, and using the core muscles or your core training to do that.
I spoke to you the other day, didn't I, about someone who told me about their training. Can you remember what it was? Did I tell you? Well, I did tell you, but I mean, you remember what it was? They were doing a sport, and because they hadn't taken care of a certain area of their body, they had a problem, so they had to strengthen it. Had to. Oh no, it was a surfer. It was a surfer, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. Surfer.
It was a surfer, and he done his hamstring in.
Oh, yes, okay. My apologies.
And he said, "Well, why is this happening to me? Because I stretch every day.
Mm-hmm.
So flexibility is important, but it's not the whole answer." That's what came up for me, because I'm sure there's lots of people in there who do meditation and stretching and everything else like I do,
yoga and all that,
but they don't take care of any strength work like I do. I don't. Sorry, I don't. I mean,
like you don't.
Apart from running, okay. But there's more you can do. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
That's another reason why you need a coach.
Well, this is what was happening with me when this is what was happening with me, Paul. When I started studying physiology and movement and things like that. was because I had been playing rugby. Okay, I had played rugby in school, club rugby. I played military rugby, and I'd always been picking up these niggles and injuries. And then I had to stop playing rugby because of injuries. Okay, and in those days it was amateur, still very much an amateur sport in those days. And so there was no real support. So I had to stop playing rugby, and then I turned my attention towards bodyboarding, like surfing, similar to surfing,
Yeah.
And I was doing bodyboarding, but I lived across the road from the beach. I grew up on the beach. I always done bodyboarding most of my teenage life and stuff like that. And I just put my attention towards that. But the same thing was happening. All these injuries just kept popping up, but different injuries in some cases. And then that's when I studied and I realized, okay, it's my core. And for me, it's even more important because I have scoliosis. So for me, it's that much more important that I do have a strong core. And in saying that, there are so many people out there that have no idea they've got scoliosis, and they do. And this is impacting their physical ability, their pain in their body, and all kinds of stuff, because they got some level of scoliosis, and they have no idea they've got it. They've never been diagnosed.
Explain to people what that is very quickly.
So yeah, sure. So it's basically, instead of your spine doing that, okay, your spine does that. So it does, like, instead of the S shape that way, it kind of does S shape the other way. So the S shape this way, and that mine does like that.
So is it out of alignment? Is it out of alignment?
It's out of alignment. But I went to a physiotherapist recently, and just for a massage, and she said to me, "Man," she said, "we need to use your body we need to use an example of your body
in the classes,
in the classes, because," she said, "it's amazing how your body, your skeletal structure, or your muscles have adapted to your skeletal structure, and how the muscles have kept in shape and in condition, and still be able to move and do the things I do." And it's just because it's an example of how the body can adapt. And this is the thing. Most people, they have all these issues, but they're not firing the correct muscles. They don't have the right muscles firing, because with certain conditions, and it's not just scoliosis, there could be other things as well. Certain muscles are not firing. They're too weak. So you got to just...
I went to an osteopath, and they basically said to me, I had a lower back problem. It was awful, one of the worst things I've had. And he said to me, first thing is, you've got the type of body frame that cannot carry any excess weight.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have any excess weight, you are going to have problems. And it then took them 12 sessions just to get my body realigned, because I was so stiff. It took them ages.
But also your muscles adapt, like mine have.
Yes, so and that's the problem.
So if somebody had to come and realign my spine for me, because you can do it via surgery these days, there's surgeries you can use. So if somebody had to cut, let's say I had to do that, I'd probably have, I don't know, I'd maybe give it about 3 to 6 months before my muscles would realign properly. Yeah.
Mm.
And that would be painful. That would be an extremely painful experience. I know, because I've been through that before, where I've had slipped vertebra. I had 2 slipped vertebrae in my back once before. Not discs, vertebra. So the vertebra had actually rotated in my neck. And I ended up with a frozen neck like this, training one day, and I couldn't move. And I went to the physios, the man, the guys that work with athletes, they're like physios. No, they're like physios, chiropractors, not kinesiologists.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I went to these guys. It's a more advanced, much more advanced, a higher level of physiotherapy. And they can also manipulate as well. They qualify to manipulate too, and they work with
scientists, really, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it is a science. Sport is a science.
Sports science.
Oh yeah, sports science is on a different. Yeah, also again on a different level. I've worked with many people that have done sports sciences, and their knowledge is not where it should be, where it needs to be. But besides that, these guys,
I
they
think
couldn't believe it.
Nutrition and sports science are ongoing things all the time, and we're learning all the time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
constant.
adapting all the time. Yeah.
So they're new sciences. It's all new sciences.
Well,
They're only about 60 years old, 70 years old. I don't know. A lot of them.
well,
Some are even
no.
less than that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we learn all the time, and that's
chiropractors have been around for thousands of years. Physiotherapists, you got different types of physiotherapy practices that have been around for thousands of years as well. There's a lot more new age type of physiotherapy practices on top of that, and it's the same with the sports and exercise. Exercise for fitness, it changes regularly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what people thought was good 50, 60 years ago is no longer applicable. It just isn't.
Yeah. So we're running out of time here. We had 26 minutes, and so really what I wanted to talk about is obviously we're talking about the core and strengthening the core part of your body. So
is that what we've been talking about? Okay.
Yeah, well, no, we veered off a little bit off a tangents, but that's okay. We're allowed to. So where would someone start? How would they say, okay, I want to improve my core? Where do I start? Do I talk to someone?
Go find a trainer. Go speak to a trainer. Seriously, don't mess around with something like that. And you don't have to be breaking the bank to do it. You really don't. Okay. And if somebody doesn't have the finances, the funds to find a trainer, mm-hmm. then go to YouTube, look online. There's certain courses you can do that are also, again, inexpensive. They're not that expensive, and you can study a little bit about it for yourself. You don't have to do a qualification course, but you can learn something. And again, this is an example I've used so many times with people, is that people put more effort into planning for their holidays than they do for their fitness and their health.
Well, we know that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
put some investment into it, whether it's time or money or both. Find a trainer, do what you need to do, speak to somebody that's qualified, get simple, like, for example, like myself, I mean, there's trainers out there that have different expertise levels. They have different levels of experience and knowledge and whatnot. If you're going to come work with me, it's not just about strengthening your core. Trust me. But there's many trainers out there that.
I mean, look, I've trained every day, and I have no aches and pains whatsoever. Mainly because I know what to do to get prepared for my running. Yeah. But I also know what to eat, what not to eat. Although I do have cheats, as everyone knows. But I do most things right. So I exercise and I look after the nutrition side. So that gives you a good base to start from, and it's the same for anything. It doesn't matter if you're cycling or swimming or
of course.
rowing or whatever it is. There's certain things you're going to have to do it properly.
I mean, you're not going to go buy a bicycle to go cycling, do road cycling, and then you're just going to go buy a bicycle and not consult somebody. What is the fitting of the bike for me, for my frame? Where should my cleats be going on the pedal on the pedals, that kind of stuff. You're not going to just try to figure it out yourself. You're going to ask somebody. You're going to go to a cycle store and you're going to ask somebody, please help me set this up for me. But otherwise, you're going to end up having problems. And it's the same thing with fitness. Speaking of cheats, I had 2 bacon butties yesterday.
No, we were talking about those yesterday, weren't we?
And I made 2 for my wife as well, and she loved them.
But you know now that I've got to go and have some. Not today, but I will over the next few days because it's the law.
It's the law.
But occasionally, very occasionally, I like a English cooked breakfast, which has bacon, fried eggs, or scrambled egg. But anyway, well, if you want to know any more about obviously core strengthening, don't ask me anything because I know nothing. Am I joking? We'll find the answers. If you want to know anything, then get in touch with us. I'll pass it on to Warren, and I'm sure he'll give me an answer to give back to you.
But the only way we'll know you need to know is if you ask.
Absolutely. Anyway, we've done 30 minutes.
We'll never know.
And it's past our bedtime. No, it's past our tea time. So we're going to go and have something to drink or eat or whatever. And
past our chatting time.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. So if you like this one, it might be a little bit different, this one, but if you know someone that it can help, please, love or like or comment or share, all that type of stuff. And we'll go from there. All right. If you need anything,
definitely share.
If you need anything, call. If you need me, no, it's Diana Ross saying that, wasn't it? Ain't no mountain high enough. Right. Anyway. All right. We'll speak to you soon. See you later.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have an outstanding week.